I left my wife because she couldn't get over her parents dying, and I don't feel guilty about it. I know exactly how that sounds, believe me. I've heard it all. My sister won't talk to me anymore. My friends think I'm heartless, and Lisa's family treats me like the worst person alive. But none of them lived with her for 9 months after the accident. None of them saw what I saw every single day. Her parents died in a car crash last December, 3 days before Christmas. It was devastating for everyone. I expected grief, crying, depression, all the normal reactions when you lose both parents suddenly. I took 2 weeks off work, handled funeral arrangements, dealt with insurance and lawyers. I drove her to therapy twice a week for months. I thought I was being supportive. The first few months were exactly what you'd expect. Lisa cried constantly, barely ate, couldn't sleep through the night. She'd wake up screaming from nightmares about the crash. I held her through panic attacks, made sure she took medication, tried to keep her functioning. It was heartbreaking but felt like normal grief. Then things started changing in ways that didn't make sense. She began having full conversations with her dead parents, not occasional talks that some grieving people do, but detailed discussions where she'd pause like she was listening to responses. I'd find her setting 3 place settings at dinner every night. When I asked why, she'd look at me like I was stupid and say, "Mom and Dad were joining us." She'd serve food on their plates, get angry when I suggested not wasting food. Her therapy sessions stopped helping. The counselor said Lisa was resistant to accepting reality. She'd come home furious, saying the therapist didn't understand that her parents were still around. She started buying their favorite foods during grocery trips. Dad's beer, Mom's yogurt, snacks they used to love. She'd fly into rages when I ate these items, screaming that I was stealing from her parents. Month 4, she started going to their old house, the one sold to strangers in February. She'd sit in the driveway for hours, sometimes trying her old key. The new owners called police twice. I had to explain to confused officers that my wife was grieving and temporarily confused. But it kept escalating instead of improving. She moved into their old guest bedroom in our house, the room we'd kept decorated how her parents liked it. Every night I'd hear her having elaborate conversations, laughing and crying with people who weren't there. She started writing letters to them, asking when they were coming home, begging them to take her with them. She'd mail these to their old address, confusing the new residents. Month 7, she booked airline tickets to visit their graves in Michigan. But she bought 3 tickets. When the airline called about the error, she screamed for 20 minutes, insisting her parents needed seats too. I tried everything. Different therapists, grief counselors, support groups, medication changes. Nothing worked. The conversations with her dead parents became constant. She'd get violent if I interrupted them or suggested they weren't real. Month 8, I found notebooks hidden in her closet. Pages of detailed conversations she claimed to have with them. But these weren't just grief fantasies. The conversations contained specific information I'd never told her. Private details about my work, my family, things her parents couldn't possibly have known when they were alive. The final entry was different. She'd written about how they'd revealed something important about their accident, something that changed everything about their deaths. That's when I discovered the real reason Lisa couldn't let her parents go. I stare at the final entry in Lisa's notebook, my hands trembling. The neat, familiar handwriting suddenly feels like it belongs to a stranger. According to these pages, Lisa's parents weren't killed in a random accident. They were murdered. Roger sabotaged the brakes. She'd written, "Mom and Dad confirmed it last night. They've been trying to tell me for weeks, but I couldn't understand until now. The accident was deliberate." I flip back through the notebook, scanning earlier entries. Each page documents detailed conversations with her dead parents, complete with their responses. Most are mundane memories, inside jokes, Lisa telling them about her day. But scattered throughout are references to things I've never told her. A promotion I was being considered for at work that I hadn't mentioned to anyone. The exact amount of a bonus I'd received but hadn't deposited yet. A conflict with my manager that I'd been handling privately. Details about my sister's marital problems that Lisa shouldn't have known. My skin crawls. Either Lisa has been spying on me, reading my emails, listening to my calls, or something impossible is happening. Neither option feels acceptable. The most recent entries focus almost exclusively on their business partner, Roger. According to Lisa's writings, her parents have been visiting to warn her about him. They claim he tampered with their car before they drove to Michigan for Christmas, causing the fatal crash that killed them both. I close the notebook and sit in stunned silence. This explains so much the intensity of her grief, her refusal to let go, her increasing paranoia. She doesn't just miss her parents. She believes they're trying to solve their own murders through her. When I hear Lisa's key in the front door, I don't hide the notebook. This has gone far enough. "What are you doing with that?" she asks immediately, her voice sharp with accusation. "I found it in your closet," I say. "Lisa, we need to talk about what you've written here." Her eyes dart around the room as if checking whether we're alone. "They told me you wouldn't believe me." "Your parents told you?" I keep my voice gentle. "Lisa, your parents died in December." "Their bodies died," she corrects me, "but they can't move on. Not until Roger is exposed for what he did." I take a deep breath. "You think Roger murdered your parents?" "I don't think it. I know it." She drops her bag and sits across from me. "They whisper to me at night. They've been showing me things, guiding me. The crash wasn't an accident." "Lisa, this isn't healthy." "They told me about your promotion," she interrupts. "The one Davidson offered you last week. They told me about the fight with Marcus over the Hensley account. How would I know these things if they weren't real?" I feel cold. "Have you been reading my emails?" She laughs bitterly. "That's your explanation? That I'm spying on you? Dad was in your office when Davidson called you in. He heard everything." "That's impossible." I thought so too at first. She stands and walks to the bookshelf, pulling out a thick folder hidden behind some novels. But then they started helping me find things. She spreads documents across the coffee table, police reports, insurance claims, bank statements, emails printed from her parents' accounts. I've been investigating for months, she says. Roger was embezzling from the company. Dad discovered it right before they died. He was going to confront him after the holidays. I leaf through the papers, unsettled by how organized they are. This isn't just grief-fueled delusion. Lisa has been conducting a methodical investigation. There are more files, she says quietly, in the guest room closet, under the bathroom sink, taped beneath my dresser drawer. I had to hide them, in case Roger ever came here. Why didn't you tell me about any of this? Her eyes fill with tears. I tried, in the beginning. You kept saying I needed to accept they were gone, that I was just struggling with grief, so they told me to keep it to myself until I had proof. I think about the conversations I'd interrupted, the 3 airline tickets to Michigan, her visits to their old house. Had she been looking for evidence all this time? The notebooks, I say slowly. The conversations with your parents. You really believe they're communicating with you? They come at night, she whispers. They tell me things no one else could know. They're trying to get justice. I reach for my phone. Lisa, I think we need to call Dr. Mercer. Her face hardens. You still don't believe me. I believe you're in pain. I believe something terrible has happened to you. But Lisa, dead people don't whisper secrets. They don't solve their own murders. My parents do, she says with absolute conviction. And they warned me you'd react exactly like this. That's why I didn't tell you sooner. As I dial her therapist's number, Lisa watches me with a mixture of disappointment and resignation. Dr. Mercer, this is James, Lisa's husband. We have a situation here that I think requires immediate attention. I glance at Lisa, who has begun gathering her documents. My wife believes her deceased parents are communicating with her, telling her they were murdered. She's compiled files, conducted some kind of investigation. I'm concerned she's experiencing a severe delusional episode. Lisa doesn't argue or try to stop me. She simply continues collecting her papers, her face a mask of calm determination. Yes, I say into the phone. We can come in tomorrow morning, thank you. When I hang up, Lisa is standing by the door with her folder clutched to her chest. Where are you going? I ask. To get the rest of my evidence, she says quietly. You've made your choice, James. Now I need to make mine. Dr. Mercer's office is eerily quiet, the kind of silence that makes you hyper-aware of every small sound, the clock ticking, the gentle hum of the air conditioner, Lisa's controlled breathing beside me. We sit across from Dr. Mercer, whose expression remains carefully neutral as I explain what I found in Lisa's notebooks. James, Dr. Mercer says finally, folding her hands on her desk. Based on what you've described, I believe Lisa is experiencing a complex delusional disorder triggered by her grief. Lisa doesn't react. She sits perfectly still, her eyes fixed on a point somewhere beyond Dr. Mercer's shoulder. I think we need to consider inpatient treatment, doctor. Mercer continues. Somewhere she can be monitored and receive intensive therapy. These delusions about her parents communicating with her, about murder conspiracies, they're symptoms of a mind trying to reject an unbearable reality. She's sitting right here, I say, uncomfortable with how we're discussing Lisa as if she isn't present, and she's compiled quite a bit of information about her parents' accident, which is common in delusional disorders, doctor. Mercer explains. The mind constructs elaborate narratives and sees patterns where none exist. It's actually a testament to Lisa's intelligence that her delusion is so detailed. Lisa finally speaks, her voice flat. You've already decided I'm crazy. Not crazy, Dr. Mercer corrects gently. Experiencing a psychotic break triggered by trauma. Lisa stands abruptly. I need to use the restroom. Dr. Mercer nods, and Lisa walks out, closing the door quietly behind her. She won't come back, I say, suddenly certain. What do you mean? She's leaving. She knows we don't believe her. Dr. Mercer sighs. James, this is exactly why I'm suggesting hospitalization. Lisa is becoming increasingly unstable. These beliefs about her parents being murdered by their business partner, they're dangerous. Not just to her mental health, but potentially to others if she confronts this Roger person with her accusations. I nod, but something nags at me. The level of detail in those notebooks, the information Lisa couldn't possibly have known. I'll call you when I find her, I say, standing up. Doctor. Mercer hands me a referral form for an inpatient psychiatric facility. Call me immediately when you do. And James, don't indulge her delusions, even to comfort her. It only reinforces them. I find Lisa's car gone from the parking lot, exactly as I predicted. When I call her cell phone, it goes straight to voicemail. At home, I discover she's packed a small suitcase and taken her files. Something compels me to look through her parents' accident report again. I find it in her desk drawer. The police report from Michigan detailing how their car veered off an icy road 3 days before Christmas, crashing into a tree. Both died on impact. Mechanical failure suspected due to brake fluid leakage, but attributed to the age of the vehicle and poor maintenance. I read it twice, then start searching online for more information about Lisa's parents and their business. It takes only an hour to find articles about their successful architectural firm and their partnership with Roger Klein. Another hour of digging reveals that upon their deaths, Roger became sole owner of the company they'd built together. My stomach tightens. Roger had a motive. It doesn't mean he did anything, but he certainly benefited from their deaths. I call Lisa's phone again, still no answer. I try her cousin Emma, who answers on the third ring. What do you want? Emma's voice is cold. I'm looking for Lisa. Have you heard from her? Why? So you can have her committed? She called me crying, James. Said you think she's delusional. I'm worried about her, Emma. She disappeared from her therapist's office. Good for her. At least someone in your marriage has sense. I take a deep breath. Emma, please, do you know where she went? There's a long pause. She's gone to Michigan. To the crash site. She said she needs to find something the police missed. My blood runs cold. When did she leave? This morning. And don't bother trying to stop her. We all support what she's doing, which is more than I can say for you. Emma, it's not that simple. It is that simple, James. Her parents died. And instead of supporting her through her grief, you're trying to have her locked up because her way of processing it makes you uncomfortable. I want to explain about the notebooks, the impossible knowledge, the increasingly erratic behavior, but I know Emma won't listen. To her family, I'm just the husband who abandoned Lisa when she needed me most. After hanging up, I sit at my desk, staring at the accident report. What if there's something to Lisa's claims? What if I've been wrong this whole time? My phone rings, startling me. Unknown number. Hello, James? It's Roger Klein. My heart pounds. Roger, how did you get my number? From your office. Listen, I'm concerned about Lisa. She called me yesterday with some disturbing questions about the accident. I thought she was finally moving past it, but now she's accusing me of... He stops. Has she been seeing someone? A therapist? Yes, I say carefully. She's been struggling with her grief. I understand that. But these accusations are serious. She's saying I tampered with their car, that I murdered them for the business. His voice cracks. They were my best friends, James. I know. Lisa is. She's not well right now. Should I be worried about her showing up here? She mentioned something about coming to Michigan to find the truth. I'm handling it, I say, though I have no idea how. I'm sorry she's dragging you into her grief. After hanging up, I make a decision. I pack a bag, load the car, and start the long drive to Michigan. I don't know what I'll find there, a grieving woman lost in delusion, or something else entirely. 6 hours into the drive, my phone buzzes with a text from a number I don't recognize. Don't trust Roger. He called you to find out what you know. I have proof now. The mechanic kept records. Meet me at the crash site tomorrow at noon. I pull over, staring at the message. It has to be from Lisa. But how did she know Roger called me? And what mechanic? What records? For the first time, I wonder if the impossible might be true after all. Not that Lisa's parents are speaking to her from beyond the grave, but that she might be right about their deaths not being an accident. I text back, I'm on my way, be careful. No response comes. But as I continue driving through the night toward Michigan, I can't shake the feeling that I've been wrong about everything, and that Lisa might be in more danger than I ever imagined. The drive to Michigan is endless, a blur of highway lines and gas station coffee. My mind races with questions as I approach the crash site coordinates Emma texted me. What if Lisa really has been right all along? What if I've spent months dismissing the one person I promised to believe in sickness and in health? Dawn breaks as I pull onto the rural road where Lisa's parents died. It's a winding stretch through dense forest, the kind of place where accidents happen even without tampering. I spot Lisa's car parked on the shoulder near a cluster of trees with splintered bark, the impact site. She's standing by a guardrail, her back to me, hair whipping in the cold morning breeze. She doesn't turn when I park behind her car, doesn't acknowledge me until I'm standing right beside her. You came, she says simply, eyes fixed on the ravine below. Of course I came. I hesitate, unsure what to say next. Lisa, what's going on? What did you find? She finally turns to face me, and I'm struck by how clear her eyes are. Not the wild, unfocused gaze of someone lost in delusion, but sharp and determined. I found the mechanic who examined the car after the accident. She pulls a folder from her bag. He kept his own records. The police report noted brake fluid leakage, but what they didn't investigate was why. The brake line was cut, James. Not completely, just enough that prolonged pressure would cause it to fail. She hands me the folder. Inside are detailed photos of the brake system, along with a signed statement from the mechanic. Why would he keep this information to himself? I ask. He didn't. He reported it, but the investigating officer was Roger's golf buddy. Lisa's voice is eerily calm. I found that connection too. They've played together every Sunday for 15 years. I flip through the pages, feeling sick. Lisa, about the notebooks. The conversations with my parents? She gives a small, sad smile. They weren't real, James. I was never that far gone. But the information, things about my work, my family. I needed Roger to think I was losing my mind. She takes the folder back, organizing the papers with methodical precision. If he thought I was investigating him directly, I'd never find the truth, so I created a cover. The grieving daughter descending into madness, talking to ghosts. I stare at her, struggling to process this revelation. You were pretending? All of it? Not the grief. That was real, her voice catches. But the conversations, the three-place settings, the airline tickets, it was all for show. I needed people to think I was crazy so Roger wouldn't see me as a threat. But why didn't you tell me? Her eyes meet mine. Hard and hurt, because you needed to believe it too. Your reaction had to be genuine. Roger was watching you, James. He's been watching us both. The realization hits me like a physical blow. The information in the notebooks. I've been reading your emails for months. She admits, listening to your calls when you thought I was having conversations with my parents. I needed details you'd never told me to make the delusion convincing. I feel dizzy with the implications. So, when you moved into the guest bedroom, I was using it as a workspace. The decorating it for my parents thing was just cover for why I was spending so much time in there. She turns back toward the crash site. I needed everyone to believe I was having a breakdown so I could work without suspicion. Lisa, I start, but she cuts me off. We have company. A black SUV appears around the bend, slowing as it approaches our position. My stomach drops when I recognize Roger behind the wheel. He followed you, Lisa whispers, just like I thought he would. You knew he'd come? I was counting on it. She pulls something from her pocket, a small recording device. I need you to follow my lead. Act like you still think I'm delusional. Roger parks and approaches us with a concerned expression that doesn't reach his eyes. Lisa, James, he calls, hands spread in a gesture of concern. What are you doing out here? This isn't healthy, Lisa. Lisa immediately transforms before my eyes. Her posture changes, becoming slightly hunched, her eyes taking on a distant quality I recognize from months of living with her delusions. Mom and Dad wanted me to come, she says, her voice dreamy and disconnected. They said there's evidence here. They've been telling me for months that you killed them, Roger. Roger shoots me a look of exasperation. James, I thought you were getting her help. I swallow hard, playing along. I'm trying. She disappeared from her therapist's office yesterday. I found it, Lisa continues, wandering closer to the guardrail. The mechanic kept records. He knew the brake line was cut. Roger's face hardens almost imperceptibly. Lisa, you need professional help. These delusions about your parents speaking to you. They whisper to me at night, she says, moving the recording device slightly in her pocket. They told me how you were stealing from the company, how Dad confronted you right before Christmas. That's absurd, Roger snaps, but there's a new tension in his voice. They said you panicked, Lisa continues, her voice still dreamy but her eyes calculating. You knew they were driving to Michigan. You knew which car they'd take. It was so easy to tamper with the brakes while they were packing. James, you need to get her out of here, Roger says, but he's watching Lisa with growing unease. The police already dismissed her claims, I say, following Lisa's lead. The accident report was filed by your friend Officer Daniels, Lisa interrupts. Your golf buddy for 15 years, the same man who conveniently lost the mechanic's full report. Roger's expression shifts, the mask of concern slipping. This is ridiculous. I loved your parents. They were my best friends. And business partners, Lisa says, suddenly sounding completely lucid. Partners who discovered you'd been embezzling funds for years. Dad was going to confront you after Christmas, wasn't he? But you couldn't let that happen. Roger takes a step toward her, all pretense gone. You have no proof of anything. Don't I? Lisa pulls out the recording device, now clearly visible. I've been recording our entire conversation, Roger, just like I recorded our phone call yesterday when you asked if I'd found evidence yet. The color drains from Roger's face. You were faking? All this time? The grieving daughter act, the conversations with dead parents? Lisa's voice is steel. I needed you to underestimate me, to think I was too broken to be a threat. Roger lunges suddenly, grabbing for the recorder. I move to intercept him, but he's faster, shoving me hard. I stumble back, losing my footing on the loose gravel. Lisa darts away, keeping the device out of his reach. You tampered with their brakes, she says, backing toward her car. You killed them for money. They were going to ruin everything. Roger snarls, abandoning any pretense of innocence. 30 years I helped build that company, and they were going to push me out over a few accounting discrepancies. So you murdered them, I say, regaining my balance. Roger turns to me, something dangerous in his eyes. They left me no choice, and neither have you. He reaches into his jacket, and I see the glint of metal. Before I can react, police sirens wail in the distance, growing closer. What? Roger spins toward the sound. I called them before you arrived, Lisa says calmly. Anonymous tip about a confession about to happen at the site of Harold and Margaret Wilson's fatal accident. The look of betrayal on Roger's face morphs into fury. He lunges at Lisa again, but this time I'm ready. I tackle him to the ground as the first police car appears around the bend. You've been playing me for months, Roger gasps as I pin him down. Acting crazy, making everyone think you were losing your mind. Not everyone, Lisa says, looking at me with a mixture of sadness and vindication. Just the people who needed to believe it. As the police officers approach with weapons drawn, I realize the full weight of what's happened. Lisa was never delusional. She was methodical, patient, and utterly alone in her quest for justice because I, the one person who should have believed in her, had failed her completely. The officers handcuff Roger, who's still ranting about Lisa's deception. One officer takes the recording device as evidence, while another leads Roger to the patrol car. I'm sorry, I say when we're finally alone again. I should have trusted you. Lisa looks at me, her eyes clear but wounded. Yes, you should have, but you didn't. I didn't understand. You didn't try to understand. She corrects me. You saw what was easier to see. A broken woman, not a grieving daughter seeking justice. She's right, and the truth of it cuts deeper than any accusation. As we watch the police car drive away with Roger in the back seat, I realize that while Lisa has finally gotten the vindication she deserves, some things can't be undone. Some betrayals run too deep for simple apologies. What happens now? I ask. Lisa gazes at the spot where her parents died, her mission finally complete. Now I can actually start grieving them properly, without the act, without the pretense. And us? She doesn't answer immediately, and in her silence, I hear everything I need to know. Some broken things stay broken, even after the truth comes out. The courtroom is silent as Roger is led away in handcuffs, his face a mask of contempt. The judge has just sentenced him to 25 years for the murders of Lisa's parents, and the financial fraud charges added another decade. It took 14 months to get here, 14 months of depositions, evidence hearings, and painful testimony. I sit in the back row, separate from Lisa and her family. They're huddled together in the front, arms linked in solidarity. I catch Emma's eye briefly as she turns to whisper something to Lisa. She gives me a curt nod, not friendly, but no longer openly hostile. It's progress. After the courtroom clears, I wait by the doors. Lisa approaches alone, her face composed but tired. It's over, she says simply. Justice, I reply, not knowing what else to say. She nods, clutching a small photo of her parents she's carried to every hearing. Not that it brings them back. We stand awkwardly in the marble hallway, the echo of other people's conversations bouncing around us. So much has happened since that morning at the crash site when the truth finally came out. The prosecution said they couldn't have done this without your organization of the evidence, I offer. The way you documented everything. I know, she interrupts. They told me. The silence stretches between us again. We've had this same stilted interaction dozens of times during the trial. Professional, distant, necessary. I've helped where I could, testifying about what happened at the crash site, explaining the timeline of Lisa's investigation, but always from the periphery of her life, never from within it. Are you heading back to the hotel, I ask? No. Emma's driving me to my parents' graves. She hesitates. It's the first time I'm visiting since we found out what really happened. I nod, understanding. Now that Roger has been convicted, Lisa can finally begin grieving properly. No more pretending, no more investigation, no more strategic madness. Do you want company? I ask, already knowing the answer. No. Her voice is gentle but firm. This is something I need to do alone. I watch her walk away, straight-backed and dignified, so different from the woman who set 3 place settings at our dinner table and decorated the guest bedroom for her deceased parents. The woman I thought was having conversations with ghosts, the woman I abandoned. 3 days later, Lisa calls me for the first time in months. I'm cleaning out the house, she says without preamble. There are some things of yours still here. I can come get them, I offer, surprised she's reaching out at all. Tomorrow at 10, she suggests, her voice all business. I'll be there. Our house, her house, now looks exactly the same from the outside, but inside, everything has changed. The guest bedroom has been stripped back to basics, no trace of the shrine to her parents it once was. The notebooks are gone from the closet. The refrigerator no longer stocks her father's favorite beer or her mother's preferred yogurt. Lisa leads me to a few cardboard boxes in the living room. This is everything. I peek inside some clothes, books, my old record collection, a few framed photos from our wedding, the artifacts of a marriage that disintegrated when it was needed most. Thank you for organizing all this, I say, lifting one of the boxes. Lisa sits on the edge of the sofa, watching me. I couldn't have done it before the trial. I needed to focus everything on Roger. I understand that now. I set the box down, turning to face her. Lisa, I've wanted to say this properly for a long time. I'm sorry. I should have trusted you. Yes, you should have. Her voice is steady, not angry, just stating facts. But I also made it impossible for you to trust me. That was the point. Still, I was your husband. I should have seen through it. She gives me a sad smile. That's the thing about a good deception, James. It works because it's believable. I needed you to think I was falling apart so Roger would believe it too. You could have told me after you started gathering real evidence. Could I? She looks at me intently. You were already talking to my therapist about having me committed. You'd already decided what was happening. The truth of her words stings. I was trying to help you by deciding what my reality was without really listening. She sighs. I don't blame you anymore. I've had a lot of time to think about this. We both did what we thought was right. I sit down across from her, leaving space between us. When did you first suspect Roger? The day of the funeral, she says. He was too composed, too ready with the right words, and he kept mentioning how he'd take care of the business. How my parents would want that. She shakes her head. It was subtle, but it felt wrong. So the grief. The grief was real, she says firmly. God, James. It was so real it nearly destroyed me. But the way I expressed it, the conversations, the place settings, the airline tickets, that was the performance. I think about those 9 months we lived together after her parents died, how I watched her seemingly descend into delusion while she was actually conducting a meticulous investigation. Your family still hates me, I observe. Lisa almost smiles. They're coming around. Emma says you did the right thing in the end, coming to Michigan. Too little, too late. Maybe. She stands up, moving to the window. But you did come, and you believed me when it counted most. I want to say more, to ask if there's any chance for us. But I already know the answer. Some betrayals can't be undone, even with understanding. Some trust, once broken, can't be rebuilt. I'm moving to Seattle next month, she says, still looking out the window. Fresh start. I nod, though she can't see me. That sounds good. You deserve that. She turns back to me. The house is going on the market. I thought you should know. Our first home together. The place where we were supposed to build a life, maybe start a family someday. Now just another asset to be divided. I signed the divorce papers, she adds. They're on the kitchen counter if you want to do the same. I don't trust myself to speak, so I just nod again. As I load the boxes into my car, Lisa appears in the doorway. James? I turn, hoping for something I know won't come. Thank you, she says simply, for believing me that day at the crash site, for helping with the trial. It mattered. I wish I'd believed you sooner. She gives me a long look. Me too. 5 years later, I'm in a coffee shop in Chicago when my phone buzzes with a text from a number I haven't seen in years. I saw your book got published. Congratulations. I stare at Lisa's message, surprised she's reaching out after all this time. After our divorce was finalized, we had no reason to stay in contact. I'd heard through mutual friends that she was doing well in Seattle, working for an environmental nonprofit. I type back, thank you. How are you? 3 dots appear, disappear, then appear again. I'm good. Really good, actually. I wanted to tell you something. I'm finally at peace with what happened to my parents. The real grief process took years, but I'm there now. I smile at my phone, genuinely happy for her. I'm glad to hear that, Lisa. Another pause then. You know what's funny? I couldn't have gotten justice for them without you thinking I was crazy. And I couldn't have healed without you eventually believing I wasn't. I sit with that thought for a moment, recognizing its complicated truth. We failed each other, but somehow, in that failure, accomplished something important. We did the best we could with an impossible situation, I reply. Yes, she texts back. We did. And somehow, after all these years, that acknowledgement feels like enough.